Hello, my friends. It's the Crypto Lunatic, the channel for crypto newbies, bringing you hidden gems before they pump. But today, what I'll be bringing you is the five biggest mistakes that people in crypto make. And not just my opinion, but I've done my usual. I've gone to three AI search engines and say, of all the mistakes, which ones are the biggest? What are the biggest ones that people make? So they happen to align with my own thoughts and findings on the subject. So I will be taking you on this journey. Now, in crypto, people realize, influencers realize that telling you what you want to hear is what's going to get you to click on the video. It's the stuff that you don't want to hear that is less popular that will probably save your crypto, if not possibly your life, because you could lose everything if you do one wrong move in the cryptocurrency market. And everything's all good until suddenly it isn't. And there are a few things that could go savagely wrong and have done in the past. So this is a cautionary tale for people who are thinking of going into crypto, who are in crypto, especially if you're new to crypto. So, my friends, join me on a little journey and let us explore some of the hidden pitfalls that you may be facing. So first and foremost, I went to X. Now, X, bear in mind, is the Twitter social media channel. So anything that goes wrong here is going to be registered. So this was a really good place to start. What are the five things? Here's the prompt I put in. What are the five biggest mistakes registered on here in crypto? So registered on here as mistakes related to crypto. So yes, they've made that assumption, and not every search engine did. So we'll get to that later. So here's the first thing, storing crypto on exchanges instead of private wallets. Now let's bring your particular attention here to the OKX, or the FTX, the Sam Bankman-Fried exchange. This thing was massive and people got rinsed. Every account got frozen. They threw well, it was a lot of unethical trading going on. And suddenly people woke up one day to realize that every single coin that they had on that exchange was frozen. And they would have to wait a long time to get any back. And even then, it would only be a fraction of what they lost. So, storing crypto on exchanges is risky. Now, you've probably heard this. Now, what I would say is certainly for newcomers to the platform, I do recommend people splitting up, having multiple different wallets. So you don't have a single point of failure. Now, I do recommend keeping some of your crypto on exchanges. Well, that's what I do. It's risk return. And people will realize follow me that the ones that I currently trust are Binance and Revolut and Nexo. Now, they could go under. Don't take my word for it. That's based on my research and my best storage advice. Now, this is because keeping a private key on my person has inherent risks of its own, which happens with private wallets. But that's another conversation for another day. So the bottom line here is the thing you need to learn from this is keep your coins in multiple places. Never have a single point of failure. And if you can self-custody rather than keep them on exchanges, then that's a good thing. So here's another one, secure private keys. If you have your own hardware wallet or your own online wallet, you have to store a key phrase. Now, if you store it in an email address, that has inherent vulnerabilities. The thing here is, where do you keep it somewhere safe that no one can get hold of it? And some people will just say, bury it in the garden. in a get yourself a treasure chest, bury it in the garden, and only keep it there, break in case of emergencies. But the thing is that it's very difficult. It's not very practical. It's not like banking, that any sort of storage of crypto comes with risks, whether you self-store or not. And losing private keys, there's been massive losses because of this. So making transactions without double checking wallet addresses. Now, this is a nightmare. If you haven't had the experience of sending crypto to different wallet addresses, you won't understand how difficult this is. Well, crypto addresses have long address. They have long addresses with lots of code and lots of digits on them. And if you copy and paste and you get it wrong, or you miss a digit, or you put a capital where it should be a small lowercase, you could lose everything. If you send it to the wrong address, you could lose everything, which is why when you're transferring big amounts for the first time, always send a tiny amount first to test the transaction. This is huge, my friends. Always send a small amount to test that you're getting to the right address, especially if you're going to be transferring big amounts. So falling for scams and fake exchanges, this is another big one. There's a lot of fake scams, and there's a lot with slightly different URL addresses that look to the untrained eye as though they're completely legit. Trust nothing and no one in crypto. And if you are using an address, then go to verified sources, double check, never just click anything off social media. Always do your homework, make sure you're on the right sites. This is for sure. And here, trading without research or a plan. So too many people pay too much attention to price and not tokenomics. Now, I talk about this a lot in my videos. And also here, worthless tokens, the Libra scam. So this was actually promoted by the Argentinian Prime Minister and was a pump and dump scam. People lost millions on this. So you research everything, trust no one is a good place to start. And that's a good reflection there for Grok. So I asked the same too for Perplexity, and it says a lot of the same. Look, lack of research and fundamental knowledge, falling for scams and security failures, overinvesting more than you can afford to lose, trading without a strategy or emotion trading. So always have an exit plan, my friends. I would say don't get too greedy. Taking money out, taking profits is where it's at. Because when it's riding high, it's all too easy to think you're going to be a billionaire. And at some stage, it's going to stop. So my suggestion to you is that when you've 3 to 5x, you take your initial money out. That way, you can't lose. But then that's just my way. I'm not going to say that's right for you, but have a strategy. Know where your exit plan is. So, and neglecting taxes and regulation and fees. Now, this is a nightmare. There are things like Coinly where you can aggregate it. But if you've got lots of different mini wallets, then tracking your transactions is a nightmare. And not only that, but HMRC here in the UK have access to all of these exchanges. So if you're not monitoring it and every single transaction is potentially a taxable event, it could be a nightmare for you. So do not ignore keeping a note of your transactions. Now, ChatGPT went down a slightly different route. I said, I asked the same thing, registered on here for cryptos, and it talked about some of the biggest mistakes. So this is interesting as a slightly different part of the same topic. So let's look at some investors and how much they lost. The Mt. Gox hack. So this was the single largest Bitcoin heist with 850,000 Bitcoins vanished due to poor security and mismanagement. Only around 200,000 were ever recovered. It was a wake-up call of the importance of secure custody and transparency. Imagine that, my friends. The Bitcoin pizza. Now, this is a meme now. When they first tested Bitcoin, that it could actually buy something real, then somebody paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. Today worth about 270 million. Of course, back then it wasn't worth all of that, but it just goes to show you how Bitcoin has improved. The most expensive Bitcoin or pizzas in history. The lost hard drive. So James Howells in 2013, a UK miner threw away his hard drive with 7,500 Bitcoin in it and never retrieved it. Imagine that, throwing your hard drive away and now looking back and seeing over 200 million lost. So keep your storage, keep your security, keep it secure. The Terra Luna collapse. Now, that was a nightmare. Even I got burned in that one. Not for massive amounts, but I still got burned. This was a leading stable coin and cryptocurrency, and it absolutely collapsed, along with the FTX collapse, which we've already talked about. So a few honorable mentions: the BitConnect Ponzi scheme. a 92% crash. Quadrica CS, the Canadian exchange CEO, took the private keys to his grave, losing 190 million in customer funds. And the Bitfinex hack, the theft of 120,000 Bitcoin. So, key takeaways: self-custody is vital, but it still has its risks. Backups save fortunes. Never have a single point of vulnerability. This is the most important one of all. However way you play it, never have a single point of vulnerability. Always spread your wallets or spread your crypto over multiple wallets. And due diligence matters. You trust platforms only with transparent governance. So there you go, my friends. There's just a few things just to highlight your attention to the things that could go wrong in crypto, because it's a bit like insurance. Like, it's only an issue when you need it, when you've lost it, when it's too late. And that is quite often what happens in crypto. People go in with the rose-tinted glasses, seeing loads and loads of gains, and they don't do their risk management. But it's really, really, really important. So hopefully this has been a word of caution, a cautionary tale, just to prepare you for some of the things that could happen. And otherwise, well, if you're looking for hidden gems, well, this is the place to do it. This is the place. I'm constantly looking for unpumped hidden gems on this channel. But I would say now at this stage in the market, if you're not in it, then you're leaving it late. So the object is to accumulate and to wait for this moment to happen. Now, are we in a full-blown alt season? Not full-blown yet, but it looks promising. But it could be a false alarm as well. There may be another pullback. But I am not Nostradamus, so I don't know. But if you would like more of my updates and reports, news and views in the cryptocurrency space without the jargon, then please do like and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like another one of my videos, then you'll find that just there.